we've got lots to get to on the Sabres and, of course, the Bills and the Browns. This, I feel like, will be one of the least talked about games. Maybe the Myles Garrett angle gets talked about.
Yep.
But the Sabres introduced their new GM yesterday, Jarmo Kekäläinen. Spoke with the media and took questions. He'll join us today at 9 o'clock, so we get another crack to kind of, ask some more questions here and there and see what the plan is going forward. And, I'm not sure how quickly there will be action of a plan, but whatever. They've got a new GM, and if you want to tell us what you thought of it, you can do that. Are you motivated by a change in GM? How's your Sabres fandom feeling right now? They play the Flyers tomorrow night, and they are definitely not dead. He says he's firmly of the belief they can make the playoffs. They would have to really win a bunch of games. They would have to go on a win streak or just start to play at a pace that is, much more impressive than what they've done so far. They are 6 points out of a playoff spot with basically 60 games to go. You got to make up a point on everybody every 10 games. So that whole 6 out of every 10 that Lindy thought they could get, they need 7 out of 10 probably.
Yeah.
Basically. So he says he thinks they can make it, and I'm not sure if anything else jumped out at you. I've got one thing that jumped out at me that I'd love to discuss with everybody out there because it actually relates to the Bills too.
Yeah. I mean, there were a couple little things. I mean, maybe not this one's not a little thing, but he did not commit to the coaching staff continuing in its current form.
Yep.
So whether that means Lindy or whether that means the assistant coaches, I'm kind of waiting, thinking something's happening.
Are you bullish more so on Tortorella today?
Because John Buccigross tweeted him eating a plate of Chef's chicken parm.
Was it Chef's chicken parm, or was he just eating pasta and John Buccigross tagged Chef's?
Yeah, you think that's more likely?
I think so.
Well, I don't know if he was there at that moment. Was he? Was that an old picture of him eating Chef's?
I kind of couldn't figure that out. It was Buccigross on a television set eating some Italian dish. You're saying it's chicken parm?
That's his thing.
Okay.
Chicken parm.
That's every hockey player's thing.
But Buccigross,
87% of hockey players eat chicken parm every day.
I got on their broadcast. I think I don't watch it all the time, but I think on their broadcast they rate chicken parms from the cities that they're playing in that day.
Oh, and you know anything about this about Buccigross?
Or he does it on Twitter too.
Bucci's a big chicken parm guy.
Okay,
it's kind of a brand thing for him.
Sure, but Tortorella's not ranking chicken parms.
I don't think Tortorella's involved.
I think though when he's on the show, and then he'll put it in front of Tortorella and ask him to rate it for him.
That I can see.
Or Chelios, whoever's on that broadcast.
All right.
I'm pretty sure.
I couldn't figure out if that was an old picture either, but
the intent is the same.
Yeah, right. It's pretty clear.
The intent is from Buccigross there, hey, keep an eye on Tortorella to Buffalo. And I don't know if that's because he knows something or because he's doing what I was doing the last couple of days, which is connecting dots. They might get a new head coach, and this guy used to have John Tortorella as his head coach.
For what it's worth, Paul Bissonnette, who was speculating and talking about how he has been texted a name, said the name is not Tortorella.
Right.
I don't know who the name is.
And said it's not Pete DeBoer.
Okay.
I think he said this. I think he also said that.
All right. I don't know. I don't know. The thing about the coach, I want to ask for the first time ever, is there a difference between a GM change and a regime change? It's not a regime change until more people get changed.
Yeah.
Right? And if Jarmo, he says he has full autonomy over the hockey department and can spend to the salary cap, and that'll be written 1,000 times and will be repeated 1,000 times.
I will say...
the actions of that will be what tell the story.
That's true. That's a question, though, that Adams never used to answer directly.
He always answered it differently.
He always would kind of feed around it.
Yes,
right?
That's right. He always kind of indirectly answered it.
Like, he would kind of more start to get you to, why does it matter if we spend to the cap?
Right.
Like, I'm just not going to spend money on bad players just to spend money.
Right.
Like, that's always how Adams answered the question. And yesterday, Jarmo was like, oh, we can spend at the cap.
Yep.
Like, maybe it's not different, but he answered it in a much more direct fashion than the last GM used to.
Sure, and maybe there are conditions on that. The other thing about this is a smaller point. I didn't expect to get to at 6-11, but we'll do it. You're allowed to spend at the cap. Are you allowed to give out a $50 million contract where $40 million of it is already front-loaded?
Right.
Where every year it's signing bonus instead of salary, because that's what players want. And the Sabres appear to not give that kind of contract out that much. Is the sticking point between the Sabres and Alex Tuch that he wants it to be $10 million signing bonus a year, $1 million salary? Because the Sabres don't have a lot of deals like that. And that the difference there, it's like lockout protection, among other things. But it's just the way that it's taxed also possibly.
Yep.
Like players want a different form of contract than the Sabres have seemingly been willing to give out. And if the owner doesn't want to do that, that's going to hurt the ability to get free agents, even though the owner might want to go to the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, okay, but you got to sign this kind of contract. Are you able to do that? I don't know.
Because that would have fallen under the umbrella of what he said yesterday, which is I have every resource to run this hockey environment. Every resource, one of the things that would qualify under that is I can give out any type of contract that I want.
Right. I can trade anybody I want. I can do anything I want. So that will have to be, we'll see. That'll have to be, show me what you do, and I'll know if you have that. The thing about full autonomy, Lindy is a sensitive subject maybe here for some people or maybe for everybody, because Lindy's got a lot of respect in this community, right? People love Lindy. I will have a hard time believing he has full autonomy unless he fires more people. Like you come in like, oh, everybody here actually was already good. And he started to kind of say that when he said, there are a lot of people here doing a very good job. Yeah. Okay. So assistants for you, coaches, what I think about the Sabres right now, maybe they can make the playoffs. He thinks they can make the playoffs. If they're not changing coach, then I don't know what changes materially on the ice. They're not going to change systems. Are they going to change their pregame speeches? And he thinks working and not losing to teams with less talent is unacceptable. That's debatable how many teams have less talent than them. Like, whatever. This idea they have all this talent is debatable. But you kind of have to change your coach to be taken seriously in this spot. Kevin Adams got the job and kept Ralph Kruger.
Yep.
Not his coach. What happened? Eventually he fired him, and then he elevated Don Granato from within the organization, and then he dipped back and hired an old coach that was tied to the organization. Like, what I'm hungry for is not specifically Tortorella or DeBoer, but I am definitely hungry for the GM has a guy he thinks runs a good ship and a real NHL team. What that team does is go out and say, I hired a GM. The GM hires this coach. This is the regime. That's the new regime. Keeping legacy people in place is not a new regime.
Right.
So is that I'll ask you out there at 803-0550. Not even saying it's fair to Lindy, or it's not really even about Lindy. It's just you hire a GM, you change your coach. Or at least the GM often does, even if you don't want them to. And I don't know. Like, you kind of think by Thursday there could be someone else behind the bench.
I still think that.
We are running out of time.
That's tomorrow. That would happen today. He sounded like somebody to me, though, that thinks they could be getting a better job out of that position. That, like, who does that fall under? If you think the players are really talented, which, again, I think is very disputable, but okay, you think that this is a very talented hockey team and that the reason that they've been losing games is because they're not showing up and working hard on a night-to-night basis, that's a critique of the coach, I think. And unless it's just the DNA of the players you have, and then you're trading everybody.
And that's a debate that happens in every city every year. You can't fire the players, so you got to fire the coach. But that's,
right.
To your point, that's very normal. If you're not feeling like you're getting the effort you want, you fire the coach and think, like, I need a new message in there. I need somebody else to run things differently.
And it goes in hand with what Aaron Portzline told us yesterday, which is that what he likes in a coach is a pusher.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy that he's looking for. So I think it could still happen. It could still happen by tomorrow. It could happen very quickly. I mean, I guess there's also a question of whether Lindy is still working in the organization, just not as the head coach somewhere along the way.
Yeah, there's been speculation about bumped up to managerial stuff like president of hockey operations.
Like, I would be surprised if they were done, if this was it. Because you're right, it's not really, I mean, no, can you call it a regime change from the first day of the season to now? They actually don't have anybody else different working in the building. You just took somebody out.
Right.
That's all that's really happened. Everybody else would be the same. But I think there's probably more to come. Coaching staff especially.
You would think. And then there's the conversation about what to do with Alex Tuch. The Alex Tuch contract
Yes.
I found yesterday on Twitter, which was healthy for me and also bad for me, which is this is how this works. When I argue with people about the Sabres on Twitter, it was kind of good to get back to doing that because I hadn't done that in quite some time. So it made me realize, like, oh, yeah, all right, that's still in there. But I also lost my mind doing it, so it wasn't good for me. Like the Tuch conversation will be sign him, trade him, keep him and try and make the playoffs and let him walk, and it'll all come down to where they are in the standings. I feel sorry to kind of say it this way. I kind of think I don't have any idea what I want them to do with there.
With Tuch?
Yeah, I think the smart thing to do is probably not to sign him long term.
Okay.
But at the same time, I very much am of the belief of, like, keep good players. You have good players.
Yeah.
Don't fall in love with the idea that, just trade him for this 22-year-old, and this guy will just become good.
Yeah, I very much know what I want them to do with Alex Tuch. I want them to pay him.
Okay.
And even if it's what Darren Dreger say yesterday, north of Adrian Kempe, which is going to be like $11 million per year, like if that is what the cost is, I'm willing to pay it. Like, is it smart? Like, again, it kind of depends what you think smart is. Is smart just avoiding bad years of contracts? Any bad years of contracts? Is 2 bad years of a contract that you're regretting on an 8-year deal, was that not smart? If I got 6 good years?
Right.
What about if I got 5 good years and 3 years on the deal that I regret? That's now a dumb move? Because to me, like, that's going to lie in the eyes of the beholder. Like, to me, that's not bad. That's not dumb. If I get 5 really good years out of a player and 3 where I got to either trade the guy off my books to a bad team or I've just got to eat it and he's got to play on my 4th line for a couple of years, like, to me, you could still argue that is very much worth it. And I don't see anything from Alex Tuch that makes me think he is, like, ready to fall off the cliff. He's, like, one of the best skaters in the National Hockey League. So if there's injuries that pile up down the road, like, that could happen. But I very much want them to pay him with the knowledge that, yeah, probably at the end of it, it's not going to look good. Because what do good teams do? What would a good team with Alex Tuch do? They would just
pay him.
They would just pay him.
They'd probably pay him.
They would find a way to keep him around. That's what they would do. So that's what I want them to do, and I guess it becomes more complicated if the season rolls along and it looks like that he either doesn't want to stay or they just can't make the bonus money work or whatever the reason would be.
Well,
and then it's whether I keep him for the rest of the year and risk losing him or whether I trade him for a pick or something. I don't know if they'll be in the place for the standings for that to even be a conversation. I hope they are.
Right.
I mean, that would be the most interesting thing that could happen to them is that they do get back in the race and they get near the deadline and he is not signed. That's the most interesting thing.
I agree with that. That was the source of most of my arguing with people on Twitter. People that I like, too, which is always good. It's good to argue with people that you like about things that you care about, like sports. 803-0550, our phone number. On Tuch, I could be convinced either way. One thing I am not convinced of, although maybe I should be, Paul makes a compelling case that if they let Tuch walk or trade Tuch, that Thompson and Dahlin would see that as like, all right, we are not serious here. We're not keeping important players. I do wonder how much the change at GM, the change of Adams to Kekäläinen, would refresh the idea that, like, we're not some ragtag operation. Again, like, they're the same operation, just with someone else making the calls to other GMs. That's another thing here. Kekäläinen was asked, were you in on the calls about Quinn Hughes? There were reports the Sabres were in on the Quinn Hughes conversations to some degree. And he said, no, this is my first day here. Like, I've not been a part of these calls. So, you know, whether he knew about Kevin Adams calling in on Quinn Hughes or not, or if he's not privy to that. Like, you are the senior advisor. Right. I thought you were. It feels like the kind of thing that if the Sabres were indeed going to make calls there, you would talk to the other guy in the room.
Right.
Like, I'm going to call Vancouver for a minute. I'm going to call him about Hughes.
Unless did they have those calls in person or when they were out there?
All right,
like,
sure.
Did Adams
2 days ago?
Did Adams go to the arena like the day of the game and like talk about it in a meeting room in person?
Fair. Right. That could happen.
That could, like, just because they were out there.
And the report was that Byram and Benson were the centerpieces of that deal.
Right.
But
that could have been one where they had talks and it never got advanced enough to where if it had, like, if Vancouver goes, I really like Zach Benson. If you want to go first round pick and throw in Noah Ostlund on top of it, and you want to go Ostlund, Benson, and Byram, for Quinn Hughes, like we might be willing to do that. If it got to that point, what happens next? Does Adams call Pegula for approval on that, and Terry knows they're about to make a change, and he says you're not allowed to do it?
Or does Adams already know they're about to make a change?
Right.
Like he might have known at that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And also, how far back does that even go?
Right.
Vancouver could have been talking about Quinn Hughes for 2 months.
803-0550 to join us. Some Sabres chatter, we'll see. I'm eager to see if Kekäläinen can put his stamp on the franchise early, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Like if they announce a Tuch contract extension next week, that's a bit of a stamp. Or if they trade Tuch, or if they fire Lindy and hire Tortorella or whoever it might be. He's going to want to put a stamp on the organization. How quickly that happens, anybody's guess. Larry in South Florida is up early here. Larry, good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Before I get to my Yarrow and Lindy comment, when Hughes was traded from Vancouver, I didn't really hear what they got. I was just shocked. Do you guys feel like Vancouver got enough for Hughes? And then I'll go to my Yarrow comment.
They got 2 very good prospects, one of which I think was a top 5 pick, and then they got a first-round pick on top of that. So, for me, it's a lot, but if you're trading a guy who's arguably the second best defenseman in the world, then I don't think they got enough. No, personally.
Yeah, I was feeling the same way. I don't know if I think I would. The offer you just said for Hughes, I think I would have done it. To be honest, as much as I like those 3 guys you mentioned. Now, on my Yarrow comment, I think if he was not going to move Lindy, he would have came out and said, hey, look, I am evaluating everything. However, Lindy is safe. Lindy will be here for the remaining of the season. At the end of the season, we'll evaluate, but for now, Lindy's safe. So I think you're right. I think he's gone. I'm not sure he'll be gone by tomorrow. I just know that, as I was telling Joe Kelly, I don't want to see Tortorella here. I'll pretty much go anywhere else. Obviously, it's not much.
Do you know? So, Larry, to that point, we're going to break in here. Thanks, Larry, for the phone call. And Tortorella, there's a Sportsnet panel discussion of the Sabres, which might be the longest discussion I've ever seen. Like a Canadian TS, they spent 8 minutes talking Sabres. I'm like, look at this, the Sabres are back. They're just a real conversation. Who is it? Jeff O'Neill and Darren Dreger and a couple others talking about the Sabres. And they said of Tortorella.
Jamie McClellan was another one.
Thank you, yes. Yeah. They said of Tortorella, it's kind of like the torts tax. Yeah. Like, listen, it's cold there. They don't win a lot. There's no palm trees. Taxes are high.
Yeah.
Tortorella, too. Players would see that and treat it like nope. He's like, you're Buffalo. You want to add another thing that players don't want?
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting the torts tax.
Yeah, I guess when you put it that way. My if your worry meter on Dahlin and Tage is higher than most, then you might not want another thing that could help drive them out.
I don't know. Just want anybody to help buy in. You sort of connect to this team for the first time since the Granato group got close.
I guess that would be the question though. How do people think they would react to him? He also isn't the same as he was, I think, like 10 years ago.
Right.
Like he's 67 years old. I think he's calmed down a little bit. But in theory,
just like me, everybody calms down a little bit.
Yeah, once you start getting up there. I mean,
younger me might say, "Hey, everybody, decide should they tank?" Because if you think they should trade Alex Tuch for assets because the future is more important, then I want to hear you say it.
That was the thing I saw about your Tuch conversation where I'm thinking like, if they're 1 point out, isn't that like what happened 2 years ago? Weren't people clamoring for them to trade things to get better?
Yes.
Right away? Like I feel like if they were a point out of a playoff spot in February or March, whenever the deadline is, if they were a point out, and they traded a first-round pick for a really good, like a 35-goal scorer in his prime for a first-round pick, and he was on an expiring contract, I feel like people would go, all right, risky, but I like it. Like, that would be the majority opinion, is good, we're going for it. We're trying to break the playoff drought. And to me, you already have that guy. Like, he's already on your roster. If you were a point out and Alex Tuch was on another team and you traded a first-round pick for This guy, he's on an expiring deal. He scored 36 goals last year. He's one of the best penalty killers in the league. Like, all right, great. Let's go make the playoffs. He's already on the team. He's basically your deadline trade. Mm-hmm. So why am I, like, eliminating? I don't know.
We can get into that further.
We'll get to that, especially if I hope they get in the race.
It'd be great if they got in the race and we could yell at each other about what to do about Tuch. They have to get in the race first. But, right, if we'll play the clip. He did say that's the one thing I got maybe upset about. It's the wrong way to say it, but he said the thing that Tim Murray said that was wrong. He said the thing that Bottrell said that was wrong, and the thing that Adams said that was wrong, which is, I'm not going to, sacrifice the future just to try to make it.
That is something. Maybe I'll ask them that later.
Everybody says that, and
they always say that, and I never hear anybody refer to what is the value of making it.
Right, making it has value.
Right, like to make the playoffs, that helps you in your navigation of getting the team back on track. You think it's hard to attract players here? You think it's hard to get guys to stay here? In part because nobody that plays in the National Hockey League remembers the Buffalo Sabres in a playoff series.
Yeah.
Like, the players are not old enough in many cases to even remember it. You make the postseason, and suddenly a lot of guys in the league that maybe aren't as dialed in on a day-to-day basis as we are on the team suddenly immediately have a better reputation with all those people immediately,
even
just by making it.
Even if it's 5% better.
And that is never referred to.
Right.
What the value of that is to attracting players, keeping players, and just making everything easier as you build your organization.
Yep. Then there's the playoff experience you would gain. Then would a couple players waive their no move if they got 1 year left on the deal? Like, they made the playoffs last year.
Ask Sean McDermott and Brandon Bean how much value how much it helped them that they made the playoffs in that first year.
Right. And what
someone go down the street and ask them that.
And what do? They made a trade. They boosted their they went out and got Kelvin Benjamin, who did play actually an important role to get them there. He got a touchdown in the Snow game, right?
Yep.
Like, that team made it barely, and they made a move. And it gained them tons of cachet, whatever. Like, I hate that answer. I don't think he means it, fully. The thing I always say is, like, sacrifice the future. What? Why is everyone pretending? This is what Tim Murray said. I'm not going to trade Sam Reinhart for a rental. No one is talking about that. Like, what? I don't know. We'll see what the Alex Tuch trade return would be, because after yesterday's conversation, I'm feeling like 2 firsts and a great prospect. I don't know. We'll see.